All right. It is always a pleasure to have my next guest on the show, UFC Heavyweight Jared Vanderaa, who will be fighting next on October the 9th at UFC Vegas 39 when he meets Alexander Romanov. Jared, how are you?
Uh, I just pulled up into the gym, so I'm about to get my workout on after this interview.
Yeah, man. And, we're a little over a month away now from the big fight night. How has camp been thus far? How are you feeling right now as you prepare for this big test?
Tired. Tired has been like the defining factor. Has been going as pretty as I want to, camp wise, but I also have a newborn at the house, so that giant distraction. So having the newborn at the house is she'll be a month next month, and just we've been kind of just juggling life around camp around. My daughter's half asleep in the back, and I've been juggling her around to all my training sessions. She's over it, but kind of what makes the days go on.
Well, congratulations on the new addition to your family. She's absolutely adorable. You have a beautiful family in general, anyways, man. Tell me, as far as that juggling act goes, with balancing, family life and training, how has that been like, and how's your sleep? Because I know how crucial that is, especially to high level athletes like yourself.
Uh, my sleep schedule's always been crap, and so it's just even crappier. Like mine, I usually get anywhere from about 5 hours is average for me. And yeah, so and I'm trying to get that 6 hours in. I'll sneak in a nap here and there, but that's about it.
Man, that's not enough for me. That must be kind of difficult not to get closer to 8 hours sleep every night. Does that affect your ability to go hard in training?
No, so it wasn't until maybe in the last year or so that I've actually been able to sleep 5 6 hours, like more on consistency. Because my average time for the longest time was about 4 hours. Because I have really bad insomnia, so I would always be up. But honestly, I got a weighted blanket, and I've actually been able to sleep in like 6 hours. I'm like, oh, this is nice. This 6 hours I could get used to. Because most of the time it'd be like 4, maybe 5 hours. Then I would just be up. I would go to bed at like 12, wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning every day. And, midday I would try to sneak in a nap just to kind of balance things out. When I was working nights, it worked out well. Like I would just, go to bed at 2 in the morning, 2, 3 in the morning, wake up at like 7, 8. And I was like, oh, all right, my day started. And that's been a good majority of my life where my sleep schedule has just been crap. So 5 6 hours is actually relatively new to me.
Okay, well, look, I hope you get sufficient sleep moving forward to the big fight night. Tell me a little bit about camp thus far. Like, who are you going to be working with today when you go in there, and who will the main training partners be this time as you prepare for Romanov?
All right, so today I'm working with my striking coach, and then my wrestling coach is going to come in and we're going to just drill, drill, drill. Camp wise, our partner wise, it's kind of been a weird one because where I'm stationed at, I don't have any big guys, and I mean zero. Now we have a lot of decent wrestlers, but when the best wrestler is 170 pounds, and he's the closest one in weight to you, there's a massive size difference. I believe, like personally, I believe Romanov is coming off of the 300s to make weight. So my guy that's 170, he ain't gonna fill 300. And luckily, my wrestling coach, he big. He's 6'2", 285, 290 of just man meat. It's just like a walking muscle. Like his abs have abs type of thing. It's like, it's just stupid. But yeah, no. So I've been working with him a lot, and when we found out that we were working wrestling, he just started dissecting everything Romanov did. He was like, "Oh, he does that. He does this." And he goes, "The nice thing about European wrestling versus American wrestling is they fail here where we succeed here." He goes, "But their strong suits are here and this." I'm like, "God damn, like calm down." So he's been a big help, and I've been working with him a lot. He's been pulling out some of the guys that he works with, because he also is a personal trainer and he teaches wrestling at different. I mean, he's been pulling a lot of the heavyweights that he works with to give me other looks, and I've been getting guys about 250, 300 pounds to roll with me consistently. Like, some of them might not be good wrestlers, but they're brown, black belts. A few high level purple belts, that are just, constantly just, I'm getting hurricaned. I feel like every other 5 minutes it's just boom, new person in, new person. I'm just like, motherfucker. It's like, I need a break. It's like, yeah, your break is 45 seconds. It's like, breathe. And like, new person in. It's like, oh, he's fresh. It's like, so I've been getting a lot of bigger guys to help me that he's been pulling it off from what he works from. So.
Okay, well that's good. One question I definitely had with Romanov being more of a wrestler, and you saying that he's cutting from 300 pounds to make the 265-pound limit. Are you going to be coming in a little bit heavier this camp, maybe to like right there at 265, just to kind of combat that size and strength that you're expecting him to have, especially in the wrestling aspect of the game?
Yeah, no, like right now I'm about 280, 85. So I'm trying to like cut. I got like 20, less, like about 20 pounds or so to cut in 5 weeks. I want to be the week of. I like to be about 268 ish, 270 to 268, and all I have to do is cut out salt, and I just drink a lot of water and I eat. Just cut out salt and just eat like normal. I'll drop another 7 pounds. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't necessarily think having the biggest size advantage matters too much. I think he makes big, massive cuts, and all he's doing is hurting himself in the end instead of me, trying to maintain my size to combat his. And like I said, my wrestling coach is about 290, so I don't get a break with him. He's not. He's like 290 all the damn time, and I'm kind of getting used to that weight and pressure from him. That I think when Romanov comes at me, it's going to have that same, factor.
So you don't expect him to have a size or strength advantage, even if he is coming in to this fight a little bit heavier than you.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to have some strength because, I mean, the dude's a massive wrestler. But, I mean, I'm going to just kind of be used to it, and hopefully I'll be able to combat his strength with the people working with you. And we all know, like, it doesn't always work out the way it plans, but, I mean, I've been working with, like I said, a lot of stronger grapplers, more so than I ever have. So I'm hoping that will translate pretty well over going against Romanov.
Okay, sounds good. We'll dive into this a little bit more here in a few minutes, but I did want to recap that very impressive win over Justin Tafa, man. You look great in there. Your striking looked probably as good as I've ever seen it. What was the feedback you got from your coaches and your team after that fight?
They were like, yeah, that looked good. I felt like I was going to get yelled at the first round, between first and second round from my wrestling coach, because the game plan was to take him down. And I was like, yo, I'm sorry, but I was like, I'm landing my jab a lot. Like, do I want to shoot? Like, his legs are big. And they're like, no, you're doing fine. I'm like, okay. Like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, are they lying to me? Like, are they telling me to punch him? And yeah, no, they were happy to see the results. Yeah, no, like my wrestling coach was like, yeah, we want to work, we want to get you back on wrestling. But then once we found out I was fighting Romanov, they're like, you know what, you don't need to take him down. Nah, like don't waste your time trying to waste your energy and time trying to shoot on him. he's going to shoot on you. Let's work around that factor. I'm like, all right, cool, makes sense. And so we took a backseat to my offensive wrestling that they did want to work on a little bit more. My striking coach, he was happy with it, but he was like, he's always that person's like, no matter how good you were one fight, you can always improve for your next one. And I'm kind of that way too. It's like, okay, I had a good showing with Tafa. It's like, now I have to get ready to have a good showing with Romanov. So it's, and I know with Tafa and Romanov, these styles, I'm going to only change a little bit just because they're both lefties. So I don't have to change too much of my striking forte going into that. But there's going to be small differentiations that I have to make between going into both fights. So that's where I'm focusing on my striking right now.
Now, in that fight with Tafa, you did have that really nasty cut on your forehead. How did that affect your vision or anything at all, your game in that fight with him? Was it a problem for you?
No, I'm sure you've done enough interviews. You've seen me stitched up, I'm sure, a few times. I was like, it was just another day in the office type of thing. Like, I actually told one of the judges, I'm like, yo, I'm telling you right now, when I get cut, I'm telling you right now, I'm like, I am going to bleed. I don't know what round it is, but between 1 and 3, I'm bleeding. Don't look at that. I'm like, I'm telling you right now, it's going to happen. I will bleed. Don't worry about that. Don't be like, oh, blood. Oh my God, the other guy. No. I'm a bleeder. A hard breeze. Like if I was in Florida right now with the hurricanes or whatever, that will cut me open and I'll be bleeding. I'm a bleeder. That was it. So I told him like, don't look at the blood. And I think he's maybe the only, or I think one of 2 judges that gave me the second round. It's like, yeah, I told you, don't look at it. I'm glad you didn't. Because one judge I know gave Tafa that round. I'm like, and I watched the round over. I'm like, spite the blood, I beat his ass. I put him against the wall. He did not like it.
Yeah,
And
well,
so
you look great, man. I mean, really, from the beginning to the end of the fight, I mean, collectively, I thought you looked fantastic. Did you feel like this was kind of your coming out party to the rest of the UFC division, just to kind of let people know just how diverse and how good you actually are?
Not really, because like I think it's a very mixed bag, because with my striking, I feel like if you even watch the Spivak fight, my boxing and my striking was on point. I didn't really utilize my ground. I overhyped his ground and underhyped mine, so it bit me in the ass. But with the Tafa fight, I knew he wasn't going to shoot on me. I never once like, oh yeah, he's going to do a double leg. Like I kind of knew what we're getting myself in for. So I knew if we went and stood and bang, it was going to be like, oh, he could stand and bang. And so I knew that one was kind of a given. Now I think people are like, okay, he's a good striker. And I think me being Romanov would be that full circle that people want to see. Like, oh, okay. He could strike and he could grapple. He goes, maybe like people might be like, that Spivak thing might have been a fluke, and start, going off on that. And that's what I'm hoping for.
Okay, well said. Well, again, congratulations on that win over Tafa. Very impressive. I did want to get your take too, just on the current top of the heavyweight division with Cyril Gane winning the interim heavyweight strap, and ultimately looks like he'll be facing Ngannou next to to figure out who the official champion is here moving forward. Give me your way too early prediction on that fight. Like, who do you see coming out on top when that does happen?
You know what? I'll say Cyril Gane. I say Cyril Gane by a decision. Just because I think Cyril Gane moves faster than Francis, and I think we saw a technical Francis against Stipe. Now that was cool and all, but you don't need I don't like the technique I think Francis needs to fight Ciryl Gane needs to be a lot, like, it just needs to be there a lot more. And we've all seen Francis, most of his fights, except Stipe, he's just like, oh, my right hand, your fist, you're dead. Fight over. Then you see him go with Stipe. You actually see a very technical fighter there. You know, his hands were up. He was throwing straight punches. He wasn't looping them from the hip. And he's going to give Ciryl Gane the same respect. But I just think with Ciryl Gane's, you know, prolonged Muay Thai career, that I think he's going to just be a bigger problem for Francis than a lot of people who give him credit. I don't see Francis or Ciryl getting a knockout. I see one of them going in and, you know, decision. And I think it's going to be Ciryl.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to that one. There's a couple other fights that I'm really looking forward to myself, and I wanted to get your quick picks on those as well. A couple of title rematches at 170 and 185. You got Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman at 170. Then Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker at middleweight. And then before those both happen, you're going to have the 45-pound belt on the line between Volkanovski and Ortega. So who wins those three fights and why?
I'm stuck with the 170. I think Usman's looking like a monster lately, and I don't know what's going on with Colby. I think I want to see Colby win, not just because I think Usman's the better fighter. I just think Colby will just draw a little bit more eyes. I feel like it's kind of stale with Usman. Like, he's a great fighter and all, but I think he's just kind of too good. And his personality isn't that exciting for me to, like, oh my God, let me watch Usman. Yeah, I think I have my money when I play some bets on Usman, but I would like to see Colby win because people hate Colby and people will tune into Colby. So I think if he wins, you'll get more eyes drawn back to the 170. The 185 division, I want to go Izzy again. I like having Izzy. It's fun. But Whittaker looked fucking amazing in his last fight. So I'm gonna just stick with Izzy on that one. But I think it's gonna be one hell of a fight. I think Whittaker's gonna come in, look amazing. And I think Izzy is going to, you know, dance along with him just fine. So that's gonna be a fun fight. Volkanovski versus Ortega. Because I met Ortega a few times, I'm gonna go with Ortega. Like, that one doesn't affect me as much. Like, little people, I'm just like, eh. But I've always been a big fan of Ortega. I wanted him to beat Holloway, but, you know, Holloway came in with a vengeance, and I would just like to see Ortega go in for that win. And you know what? If he does win that and Holloway, you know, gets his way back to the title, that will be a fun trilogy fight right there. Even though Holloway is 2-0 against Ortega, or is it 2-0? All right, wait, I'm thinking Volkanovski.
Yeah. Yeah, Volkanovski's 2-0. Holloway only fought Ortega once. Either way, there's going to be some great fights here moving forward, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I'm. That's why I think if Brian has the belt versus Holloway, that will. If Brian wins that one, that would also lead into a trilogy. And if, you know, Ortega loses the belt to Holloway, it kind of gives Ortega that one extra, like, hey, we're doing it a third time because that belt's mine type of thing. So
Yeah. Going to be intriguing to see what takes place here. All right, let's talk about Romanov here. He's 14-0. He's 3-0 in the UFC. You said before this guy predominantly is a wrestler, so I'm assuming that's what you're expecting his game plan to be coming into this fight. Why are you going to give him the first loss of his professional career?
Honestly, I think a bit of. Honestly, I wouldn't even say I'd be his first loss. I watched the Spino fight a few times. Like, the first time I was like, what the hell happened? Because I thought it was an exciting fight, and I personally think the UFC did that fight a little too early in both guys' careers because I think they're both top contenders. So I was very shocked to see them fight each other pretty early. And watching that fight, I like the first time I was just shocked with what happened. Second time I watched it, I'm like, all right, let's see what the judges saw because they gave it to Romanov. I watched it again. I'm like, Espino won. Espino beat him, and I'm like, I could do that too. I'm like, I could be the same person to, I could beat him without a shadow of a doubt. And so I'm like, you know what? He's already lost once, and I'm going to continue his losing streak. Even though on paper he won, I think mentally he lost. So I'm going to try to keep that momentum going for me to keep him losing.
So is the game plan basically to kind of stick to what Spinov did against him in that fight? Maybe, try to emulate him to a T in order to get the victory?
No, few reasons. One, Espino actually has he's a decorated a Spanish wrestler himself. So to sit there and be like, yo, no, like Spino threw him. Like, I mean, if I wanted to really, really, really try and kill my cardio and not want to win this fight, I can maybe throw Romanov. But no, I need to stick to my strong suits. Really hunker down on first, wrestling prevention, through striking and jiu-jitsu. I have to definitely hone in on those aspects of things. I'll make sure like I'm just on top of just breaking him. And I think once I could, start stuffing those takedowns, or if he does take me down, be able to pop back up, I think I could just mentally break him, and he'll just get himself tired. He'll get himself exhausted, and it makes it easier and easier to pick him apart.
Okay, so do you see yourself finishing this fight, or is this going to go the duration here, and you're going to have to win a decision?
I'm hoping I finish it because with someone with a good wrestling background, if I'm on the ground too long after a takedown, or if he takes me down more than once, those are big points against me. So I know that if we hit the ground, I need to pop up immediately, or I need to secure a very strong submission immediately also, because if they see a takedown and he's getting submitted, they're like, oh shit, he fucked up, and that might help me. But for the most part, I would like to finish it, so no, there's no doubt. Like that's another thing, is I'd rather beat him, especially with a submission or a ground and pound or a knockout, because I beat him down 2 rounds, but let's say I pop up, I'm on the ground for like half a second. I pop up, break off, I light him up. Boom, boom, boom. Let's say third round, he just can't take me down. Pop, pop, pop. I'm just touching him away. Boom, boom, boom. I don't want people like, oh, that was a robbery. I saw 2 takedowns, blah, 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 blah. And then there's always going to be that, question. Even though I did everything right, there's going to be like, that was a robbery. Now, if I beat his ass and he's on the ground shriveling, they're like, yeah, that's fair enough. He lost. And I think I could do it. And honestly, from what I saw in his third round of his last fight, he broke. He was broken. Espino won that fight, and for that controversial win, that's definitely what it is. As like, for those that don't know, Espino accidentally tapped him in the boys, and he went down and went to a technical split decision. I was like, okay, that's definitely a rough call.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, I know a lot of people are excited to see you and Romanov match up here now, especially after how good you looked against Tafa. And it all goes down October 9th at UFC Vegas 39. Jared, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, my man. Looking forward to seeing you climb back in the octagon. Before I let you go, I want to give you the floor. Tell people where to follow you on social media. And if you have anyone to thank here, the floor is yours.
You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I don't use Facebook that much, or Twitter. I'd rather use that one either. TikTok and IG are the 2 ones you'll find me on. I'm usually insulting people on TikTok because they leave stupid comments. Like I have one guy right now I'm gonna respond to in a minute, crying about my nails. So I'm gonna get to him in a minute. I just kind of want to thank you again for having me for like the 100th of time. But I like coming on here, so it's no dust off of me. My family supported me, especially in this crazy hectic time with my newborn, the little one behind me, kind of asleep and mad at me for talking, and my team for helping me prep for this fight.